Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Assassin's Creed, your number one podcast for all things Assassin's Creed. In today's episode, we're going to be running our thoughts and theories and feelings behind the teased Netflix adaptation of Assassin's Creed. We'll be touching on many aspects on the comic books, the lore, but we'll also be taking a look at the first silver screen input of Assassin's Creed with the movie, played by Michael Fassbender, a movie that is a bit divisive amongst fans. But to talk about all this, we are not alone. As you are aware on Twitter, we are joined by Lokuzt.
Hello there.
And, well, I'm just kind of happy that he's on board and really excited to dive right in.
Yeah, man. It's going to be a good time.
Any excuse to talk Assassin's Creed with other people is my goal lately.
Yeah, feels good.
So, I think the first thing we should get out of the way is what we know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what we know essentially is Netflix has the rights to Assassin's Creed, and they have done really well with the Witcher reboot and the Castlevania reboot into the animations and live action. But we also know that in 2017, the Castlevania director announced a Assassin's Creed animation. So we know that's coming, but with Netflix now advertising we're doing something, do you think that this means that we're finally getting that Castlevania directed animation?
Well, that's the thing. With these things, like in the world of like movies and TV shows, like it's really hard to predict because these creative people, like the director for Castlevania, I don't know his name, but these creative people have like so many projects. They sign up for so many projects, and so much stuff gets handed to them. So they might have started working on the animation, but we haven't had any news from it. So maybe it's like in the back burner for now. They're gonna focus on the new actual live action TV series. Like it's actually hard to predict. I want them. Like I actually would love to to get them both. More Assassin's Creed is always better.
I think it was announced when they were doing when the Netflix teased that they had multiple projects in order. I did read somewhere that they had a live action and an anime on board, but yeah. I'm not too sure because they've not really spoke about it since then, which is kind of not good. We want more information.
Yeah, I think the only thing that said was the Jason Altman which is the head of Ubisoft Film and Television in Los Angeles, said, "For more than 10 years, millions of fans around the world have helped shape the Assassin's Creed brand to an iconic franchise. We're thrilled to create an Assassin's Creed series with Netflix, and we look forward to developing the next saga in the Assassin's Creed universe." And of course, they also stated that they have multiple projects, like you said, including the animated series. But I really think that for now, it's like it seems that everything is still like in the pre-production phase. So that's why we're not hearing too much about it.
Which makes sense. And
yeah,
you brought up an interesting point in that quote of a new chapter in the saga.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this has me, as a fan, kind of worried because
yeah,
I did do a poll, and a lot of you are suggesting that instead of doing a new saga, which is a new hero, a new assassin, or a new Templar, which I would like, why don't they give the fans what they actually want, in my opinion, and that's an adaptation of the comic books and the novels, because a lot of lore is in the comic books, especially the Juno arc that was ended. Now, a lot of people don't go out and buy the comics, but if you have a Netflix animation or live action, which follows them comics, it's kind of better for fans.
That's actually a good point. But that's the thing, like, where would you... Like, I agree that, transmedia in Assassin's Creed has been a problem for the lore, because not everyone can access that kind of stuff. Like, for example, for me, like, if I want to buy the comics, I have to import the comics or buy them online. But like if you're like a true fan, like me, like I really like to collect the comics and all that stuff, and it gets like pretty expensive, and just like so many people are not gonna go through all that trouble. Not everyone can afford that kind of stuff, and even just buying them online, they probably can't afford buying just online comics, which is literally like just some PDF pages. Um, and that is a problem, and bringing those stories to a new series, be it live action or animated, that would be pretty cool. And the question is like, would that be better in the animated version or a live action?
For me, judging by some talking with some friends about other shows, the more I think about it with how short comic books can be, because I do have the first comic book with Charlotte Cruz on my phone, which cost me £10, which was kind of expensive.
Oh yeah, that's really
Um,
expensive.
that comic took me about 20 minutes to read because they're quite short.
Yeah.
So essentially, you could create an anthology series, animated anthology series,
Oh
following them. So it doesn't have to be this big multi-project TV show that lasts about 8, 12 seasons, but an anthology where each comic has its own episode.
yeah, that actually sounds pretty good. An anthology animated series following the all the comics. You even have like the Brahman series comics and the Templar series as well. You could do that. The Templar comics are really good as well. Um,
I've, I've, I really think with how animation works, and as you said with the template comics and how they're all laid out, you could theoretically get in a good and a great example is Sherlock Holmes by the BBC, which uses 3 episodes over an hour and a half to tell a story, and it works. You could possibly fit a comic book series in an hour and a half episode.
yeah, yeah. That actually like that is actually a pretty good idea. I hadn't thought about that, like including the comics and in a show. That I would watch that in a heartbeat, because there are comics that I'm missing and that I haven't read, and I would much rather like subscribe to Netflix and just watch the show and uh, and share it with my friends than actually buying a comic, and then read it like 10 minutes and it's on the shelf.
I think the other thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about anthology is I don't know if you're aware, but there is a lot of gaps in the story of Assassin's Creed games from the how you are as an initiate with Unity, Syndicate, and Rogue,
Mhm.
but also the gap with Layla Hassan from Origins to
Oh yeah,
Odyssey,
yeah, yeah.
where she actually works with Charlotte Cruz,
Yeah, that was
which
actually super weird, because like in Origins, she was working with Abstergo, and then Odyssey starts, and she's like, "I'm a true assassin," and she's already working with all the assassins that I actually read the comics by that time, and I like there's it's the name is Yoshi, I think, the Japanese dude who has a sword, the Japanese assassin, I think. I don't know his name. And I was like, oh, that guy's in the comics, and they're talking about Charlotte, and it's like there's a lot of these moments there, could be easily filled, like you said, with the shows. And honestly, like if you think about the what the comics brought in terms of like budget and special effects and stuff like that, I think it would be much easier to bring that into an animated series than to an actual live action series, because I mean, obviously the live action is going to be much more expensive, and I can already imagine like the special effects, like for Juno, for example, um, being brought back to life in the comics.
so imagine then on this an animated series called Tales of the Animus, which is just an anthology series that is always updated with comic books and novels, And then that way, if people are playing games, they've got something to watch, and it doesn't have to be in an order. So essentially, you could think, I'm going to play Assassin's Creed 3 Remaster for the first time, but before, and once you beat it, you can then go, well, you know what? I'll go to Netflix and I'll watch their anthology of Forsaken, which is
Yeah.
the good tie-in novel, and then that plays so well for the series because they're like, okay, there's Haytham's backstory. That's interesting. If I can't pick up the book, I can pay to watch this on Netflix, and I've caught up.
Yeah, that's cool, and it has the potential to bring new people into the franchise. Like so many people watch Netflix. I think there's probably more people that just watch Netflix and shows that like do some play some other games. Not necessarily Assassin's Creed, and they will see, oh, there's this new anthology series, like there's a few stories, each season is a different story, and like this Assassin's Creed, it's actually pretty interesting, and they pick up the games. So I think it's an actual win-win for Ubisoft if they do that. It's actually pretty good.
And on your point, I will admit, I watched the Castlevania series after I heard about the director doing Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
And I now actually want to go play Castlevania.
Yeah.
I've never played it, but I want to play it because of Netflix.
Yeah, the Castlevania games are pretty great. There are quite some different ones, but yeah, that's the effect of what the shows can have on people. Like I know a lot of people that saw The Witcher and were interested in trying out the games because they learned that show was based on the games that were based on books. So the show is going to bring more sales to the books, and it's going to bring more sales to the games, like inevitably. So yeah, I think if they do, I think it would be beneficial for new fans and existing fans if they did what you said. If they give us like a way to uh, catch up on the transmedia stuff, but in a different format in an animated series, that would be pretty great. That would be pretty awesome. I hadn't thought of that.
Well, to be honest, I've been trying to collect the anthology series, and luckily I've got a charity shop across the road where the person who works there knows me very well, and I managed to pick up 3 of the books for £1, which is
Oh,
Brotherhood, Forsaken, and Black Flag. And since reading them last year during lockdown, I kind of want more transmedia accessible to everyone because these books are about £8 online, and I got them for a good steal. But having something accessible like Netflix is a good balance because there's a revenue from Netflix, so they're not losing money, but it's also an accessibility format for people that can't get the books, especially since some books like Bloodstone, I think it's Bloodstone, the World War II one, was released in French first. So a lot of people are like, well, I can't read it at the moment because I've got to wait till it's translated to English, and that takes a lot longer,
mhm.
which is kind of confusing. But this is, I think I don't know if you've heard, but I did do an episode where I thought about these transmedia as in Telltale style games, story-driven games,
Mhm.
with choices. That could be another way, but I think Netflix is actually a better way than putting them into mini games.
Yeah, I think would, because those games, like even Telltale games, which the studio probably it collapsed a little bit because of they started to try and release too many games at the same time. Um, but I think those games still, they need a lot of time to develop, and I think that's just too much pressure, like for the studios. Like, oh, we need to get this game out, and they still need to sell you the game. So it would be probably, if not a full priced game, it would be like 40 bucks or whatever. So it still wouldn't be as accessible as a TV show, for example. So
So essentially, Ubisoft, if you're listening, ignore my last episode from about 10 episodes ago where I suggested transmedia as mini games. Let's just make the transmedia as episodes. I will binge watch an anthology series
Yes.
about the comics and novels.
And
I'm not gonna deny my girlfriend won't see me till I've completed them all. She would complain, but you've got to look after kids. Well, I will, but I need to know what happens with Charlotte the Cruise and the Phoenix Project. I'll be back soon.
the electrical bill for the television will be massive.
My coffee bill will be massive,
Oh yeah.
honestly. So let's jump to what we know is coming first, live action. And this one, I think people are going to be the most skeptical about
Yeah.
because of the movie.
Yeah.
And I do want to say disclaimer, I don't hate the movie. I do like the movie. I just think the movie could have been better if it was a TV show.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, I like the movie because I'm a fan of the franchise. And I think even if I wasn't a fan, I think I would have still liked the movie. But I have, like, with movies, I tend to have like uh, a range of opinions. It's like I can say, okay, this movie was enjoyable. Yes, the movie was enjoyable, but would I classify it as like a great movie, like a movie that I rewatch, not because I'm a fan, because of course I would rewatch the Assassin's Creed movie because I'm a huge fan of the franchise, but I would I rewatch it on the basis of it being like a great movie, like watching it from a perspective of just the art form of a film. Like, is it that good? And I think there's a lot of Hollywood tropes, a lot of Hollywood meddling that kind of brought the movie down a little bit. Um, it, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I feel like there was some script rewrites because there are some points that are kind of inconsistent and don't make much sense. Which usually when that happens, it's because someone picked up the script, changed some stuff, but didn't took the critical eye to see if everything made sense. But what do you feel about that?
Um, I would agree with you. I think my biggest gripe with the film, and my partner even asked me because she was curious because I only watched it last year for the first time, is I believe strongly that Assassin's Creed needs pace. When you play an Assassin's Creed game, you're not thrust headfirst and everything's thrown at you left, right, and centre. Even with the linear games, you had each memory was at a certain pace, and I just kind of feel with the film because of the time constraints, everything was just rushed together. You
Mm-hmm.
were like, great, this is the main character in the modern day. We don't know why he's there or what's happening.
Yeah.
This is the Animus. He's in it. This is the past. But why do
Yeah,
you have to do the past?
and that's the thing. Like, in the beginning, I was like, when Callum, when, like, he's young, right, and his father kills his mother and tells him to run away. And I remember being in the movie theater and actually think, like, wait, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why would he first? Why did he kill the mother and then let the boy run? Like, wouldn't it? Because it's like, okay, he's trying to protect the DNA, right? Like, Abstergo not getting that specific DNA, I guess. But it's like, why kill his mother? Like, couldn't, if the boy could just run away, couldn't the mother just run away with the boy and protect the boy? It's like, isn't there like a chance that if he just runs away by himself, he's just like gonna get caught anyway? It's like, to me, like, immediately that was like kind of jarring at the beginning, and I was like, and specifically because it's in the beginning, I was like, oh my god, please don't be bad. But it kind of got a little bit better as the movie went on.
I think for me the biggest confusion and annoyance I had is when you play the games, there's a reason for going in the Animus. Desmond has
Yeah.
a reason. The first one because it's part of the genetic experimentation. The second one is continuing. Layla's the same, but maybe it's just from how I watched it. I don't really remember why Callum was picked. Why specifically did they want to look into the Spanish Inquisition?
Yeah.
What was this facility? Why is everyone in this facility seem to be an assassin? You know,
Yeah.
it
The,
was just kind of like, I'm confused.
yeah, that's a good point. It's like, and another was like in the beginning as well, like when the father lets Callum go, it's like they show Alan Riken or Riken, I don't know how to pronounce it, but they show him there like at the spot, and it's like, and I was like, when I learned that it was Alan Riken, I was like, oh, but why is the Grand Master of Abstergo, right, at the spot? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, he's like the corporate dude who oversees everything, like in the games, like especially in Assassin's Creed 1. Like, he was the dude who was putting Vidic in his place and telling him to produce results and stuff like that. It's like, and that's why I kind of think of I think of the movie as kind of an alternate reality, almost like at that point I feel like I tried to not really like nitpick the movie, and I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna think of it as an alternate timeline kind of thing, which has like the elements of the movie, but having the villain, like villain in quotes, be there was like very Hollywood like. It's like, okay, let's tell the audience who the bad guy is. It's Jeremy Irons.
Which is why, looking at the movie and how they could go on with the TV show, I think it's a good point to make that then don't rush everything. Do a couple of episodes, maybe 2, 3 of story build up. We don't need to know who the bad guy is straight away, but
Yeah.
give us the set pieces. Why is he in the Animus? Why is he doing that DNA line? What's the ultimate goal? And then by, I don't know, episode 8, you do the big bombshell, well, this is what's really happening.
Yeah.
And then 2, 3 more episodes, you wrap it up in a good conclusion that still retains mystery.
Yeah,
because
that's the thing. If it was a TV show, it would have been much better because you could see actual the relationship between Aguilar and Maria as well be developed a lot more. Because I was like, when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, when do we get to see more of Maria? I thought she was going to be like much more present in the movie. It's like it was kind of like this. I thought they were going to have like a relationship or something, but it was like just it didn't like develop too much because like you say, it's like it's a movie. They need to rush things along. You need to go to the next plot point. Let's get to the end, and in the TV show they could actually flesh that out much better.
And I mean, the biggest thing that the TV show can overcome from the movie is something that I think is essential to the Assassin's Creed franchise, and I don't know if you agree, is every game, when it ends with a mystery of what's going to happen next. And the movie just kind of ends on, they're on a rooftop. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
The ending was so confusing for me when I was watching it in the theater. Because, yeah, like, it lacks the sense of mystery that Assassin's Creed it used, like kind of accustomed us to. And it was super weird because I don't know if you remember, the Templars are holding like this gathering, right? And I was like, wait a minute, why are they gathered in a building? And then Callum goes there with the assassins. They infiltrate super easily. I was like, what? It's like, these are the worst Templars ever. And then like I think it's Sophia, which is Alan Rakin's daughter. She goes like, oh, don't do this, and is like, I'm gonna do it. We need to get the apple. And she's like, okay. And then Callum obviously just goes there, stabs the dude, gets the apple, and then she's all like, I'm gonna get my revenge. And I was like, that's again a lot of like Hollywood kind of tropes, like, and it doesn't make much sense. Like, why would she let him pass and not tell on him? Like, hey guys, go on the microphone, like tap the microphone. excuse me, there's assassin on aisle 3. Everyone evacuate immediately. Like it was like, it was weird. I was so confused in the theater because I was like, why, like, how did this happen?
I I remember watching it in all honesty, and after the end, and my partner said to me, "Was it good? Because you've not shut up about remembering to watch it." And I was like, "It's good because I'm a fan and I know a lot of the details on what's going on. But if I wasn't a fan, I wouldn't know what the hell is happening, and I
Yeah,
still don't know what the hell's happening at the end. And I'm hoping the TV show can rectify that because there's a chance to grow, to leave storylines. Each episode could be a DNA segment. You know how the game,
yeah, yeah.
you know, so much potential to be better.
And it for example, one episode to actually explain and actually let the viewer understand what the animus is and how it works, right? As like the like, for example, the first episode where the character steps into the animus, right? They can actually tell in an hour or more, uh, like the character adapting to the animus, uh, them explaining how it works, how memories work, how like I think a TV show has much more potential to tell these kinds of elaborate stories, because the movie is just like too much of a compact format. And yeah, like the movie, I think the best part of the movie, honestly, were the action sequences. The whole free running sequences and the combat, like they were pretty great. Even though I wasn't too keen on the filter they used. It was like, it was supposed to be Spain, but it had like this really heavy filter on. It's like yellow filter, I guess. It's what I could classify it as off. It's like they do that to try and make it feel like it's hot, right? It's like it's a hot environment, but I feel like that exaggerated it. It was a little bit too exaggerated, for me.
I really don't think they should put a filler on it. After seeing the Assassin's Creed Odyssey live action trailer, which didn't have a filter, it looked kind of cool, and it kind of would
Hmm.
work as if they did that as a whole live action. You don't always need a filter just to hide, like make it look extravagant and all that.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
that's the thing. Like I always come back to to Hollywood, because like Hollywood, with when studios interfere in projects, that's when they start going downhill, like in terms of quality. And I feel like that's such a Hollywood thing to do. Like, oh, let's put a filter here because people might not understand that this is the past or something. Like, and it's like they don't trust the audience to know what's happening. They actually like spoon feed you stuff like this, and yeah, it kind of like uh, decreases the quality of things.
So the last question I'm going to talk about, well, ask. You don't talk about a question. Brain's fried this weekend. Is should they cater to only current players and fans of the series, so make a recurring character and arc in this new series, or should they go down the middle and give us a new character, a new story, a new saga, so new players can get in, get involved, and say, you know what, I'm gonna check that out, and older fans can sit back like, you know what, this is epic, this is what we know and what we love.
Yeah. Well, that is actually quite hard because um, it, one thing I actually like to say is that usually fans like don't know what the best thing is for the franchise. Like I usually I trust the creative people uh, behind the franchise, and I feel like there's so many possibilities that are good. If they want if they want to create a new character, like let's say from Valhalla on, right, and forward, that's gonna be tough because then they're gonna have to balance the new games and the TV show, like if they want to uh, remain in the same timeline. So I think that's going to be harder. So I don't think they're going to go that way just on that basis. But they could do like someone new, like on the Animus Entertainment, like the Abstergo Entertainment offices, like from Black Flag, for example, you could be one of the people there. And they could add a lot of like Easter eggs there. Like they can even actually show John Standish fixing your desk, like because in Black Flag it's you, right? There you don't have a name as the character in the modern day, but they actually can show that person like sit down and actually live Edward Kenway's. You can actually see that he's living Edward Kenway's memories, and that could be like these really cool Easter eggs. I mean, there's so many possibilities. What would you like to see?
For me, it sounds very weird because I've already complained about it slightly, but to follow the same tactic as the transmedia, and that is give us stories and tales that are new, but they exist alongside the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And in this way, as you said, correct with Easter eggs, this way new players getting into it will watch it. They don't have to have any knowledge of any past Assassin's Creed game,
Yeah,
and they love it. But as old fans are like, I saw that. That's a reference to such and such.
yeah,
Even if it's, sorry, even if it's just like a shot of them talking about the Animus, and on the wall is a picture of Sean or Rebecca.
yeah.
Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
But players like us that have played it, like, oh my god, that's a nod to Sean and Rebecca, or stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I think would probably be better. Like um, I don't know what thing they're gonna pick, but I think that's the correct, unless they want to move the story forward and just tell like a parallel story to what's happening in the games.
That work essentially, because there is more than one Brotherhood out there. So while one team's doing something, there could be another team doing something else, but it has nods to what's going on in the games. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
It's just harder to handle the lore. Like if they wanna mix things up, like for example, if in the games they want to do like a big event between assassins and Templars, they kind of need to be careful and like check with the TV show team, like, hey guys, what are you doing? Oh yeah, now you have to fit this into your, like, be aware that this is gonna happen in the game. So like I think that's the juggling they're gonna have to do if they want to move forward.
Well, we do know so far it's been possible for them to create really cohesive and entertaining storylines through transmedia. The Last Descendants, which
Mhm.
has a nod to Valhalla because Valhalla uses Odin's sight, which was first introduced in the Last Descendants last novel, because that was Viking time. So there's the nod, but I think it could really help explore timelines that the games haven't explored yet, or really, I'm probably going to get some fans disagreeing,
Hmm.
but more Templar backstory,
Oh yeah, for sure.
or or even something that we don't have at the moment because it's not possible by current law standards. More Isu knowledge, because we have known, and I'm only halfway through Valhalla, so stuff will change to my knowledge. But it's very hard for the animus to go back to the time of Isu to get back to their memory. So
Yeah,
having a
it's
set in Isu would be better.
yeah,
I mean, sorry.
specifically because like Desmond had this Isu DNA, but in our timeline, like it's just the concentration of Isu DNA is just like way too small. Like there's no way uh Animus can even process that. And so yeah, but the Templar thing, like that would actually be pretty cool. I think the thing I want most is like them getting a little bit creative with what they could do, and like not follow so much like the formula of TV shows. They could tell like a parallel story, like one assassin and one Templar, and how like show the conflicts between assassin and Templars and their doctrines, and how one thinks one is right and the other is wrong, and show how that is not really that simple, and it's not that just black and white. They could
That would work.
they could but I want them like to be creative about it, not just go like the Hollywood way.
One thing I will ask for Ubisoft, if they look at the TV show or the animation, I do actually want, as a little guilty pleasure of mine, to know is actually have a small TV series set during the Isu Human War, because we may not be able to get them answers in game, but it'd be cool to have a TV show that explains some of the stuff that happened during the Isu War before the
Yeah,
Tokyo catastrophe.
you actually touched on a point. Like ever since in the game we learned about Adam and Eve, and specifically Eve, who was the leader of the human rebellion against the Isu. I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to learn more. And it's like that vanished completely from every subsequent game. It's like, oh come on. I was like, I really want to know more about Eve. And it's like, I would love to know more about Eve in a video game, but if they want to go the TV show route, I wouldn't mind. At least give us some more info about Eve and how the human rebellion was. Like, that would actually be pretty cool.
So I think this is all we've got time for today, but by what we've discussed, there is a ton of possibilities for the TV adaptation, but there's also a lot to learn from the Hollywood, slightly rushed version of the film, which means they are in a good stead to doing something that old fans and new fans will enjoy and possibly want to go out and pick up the games.
Yeah, I think they have a really good chance to please the old school fans and really just bring a lot of new exciting fans into the franchise. And I think my advice would just like be creative and respect the lore, respect the franchise, and I think we're gonna get a really good product here.
And when we know more, and when the show actually materializes, I will be looking to revisit this episode, so you're all aware, because, as I said, and I am no joking, I will be binging the entire series. I binged The Witcher. I regretted it because now I want to watch it again, but I did binge it too much. So I will be revisiting this episode in the future to see what the show's like.
Oh yeah, what we got right and what we got wrong.
It will be quite interesting because I did get some things for Valhalla right, so I wonder if I've been correct on some things here.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty interesting.
I'm gonna have to start making predictions because my Valhalla prediction came right, so maybe my TV predictions will come right. I hope.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in this week and listening. As I say every week, if you want to be involved with the show, then please just drop me a message on Twitter or send me an email. And you can either take part by sending a subject, actually joining the show, or even just sending me some topics or ideas that you'd like to be discussed. Any way you want to get involved, you can get involved, just have to ask, and I will look into it and say yes.
Yeah.
I want to thank Lokuzt as well for tuning in, for joining. Tuning in.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for the invite. It was pretty fun.
Well, it was nice to have you on board, and I really wanted this topic for a while, but I didn't really want to sit here talking to myself about a TV show. I'm not, unless I get a mirror, I don't really think I could talk to myself. But I can't put a microphone on a mirror, guys. I did try that when I first started podcasting.
Yeah, it's much more fun with friends.
It is. And that's a topic for another day. Assassin's Creed with friends. into multiplayer there, but that's something for another day. So thank you all for joining, and I'll see you all next week.
Yeah. See you guys.